Is it peace at any cost or just a strategic pause in the conflict? U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently made a bold statement that sets the future direction of Washington's foreign policy for 2026. While the front remains a place of fierce fighting, the word negotiations is being heard more and more often in the high offices of the American administration. What exactly did Rubio say about Ukraine's future? What specific conditions is the White House setting for starting a dialogue with the Kremlin? And why has the United States' position started to shift at this particular moment? Right now, we'll break down the exclusive details from the Glavred article. Watch until the end. This is a vision of the future that will impact each and every one of us, and there is a lot more information available in our full report. My name is Yevhen Sirov, and this is the Glavred channel. Subscribe and give us a like. Let's get started. According to the publication, Marco Rubio emphasized a pragmatic approach in his speech. The main point put forward by the Secretary of State was that the war has now entered a critical stage that demands a combination of not only military strength but also diplomatic flexibility. Rubio emphasizes that the United States is committed to ensuring that Ukraine emerges from this conflict as a sovereign and secure state. However, the methods for achieving this goal may change. Washington is no longer talking about fighting to the last, but is instead betting on creating conditions under which Moscow will be forced to come to the negotiating table. According to Rubio, this is the only way to stop the senseless bloodshed and prevent a global escalation, which the world came dangerously close to at the beginning of the year. The article in Glavred highlights the key conditions that the U.S. administration considers necessary to start a genuine process. Rubio made it clear that negotiations do not mean capitulation. On the contrary, Washington intends to strengthen Ukraine to such an extent that any agreement would be made from a position of strength for Kyiv. Among the Secretary of State's priorities are security guarantees. Without formal and legally binding international documents that prevent a new Russian attack, any agreements simply do not make sense. Regarding the complex territorial issues at hand, Rubio is cautious in his wording, but hints that realism involves fixing the current situation on the ground as a temporary measure to save lives. The role of allies. The United States firmly insists that Europe should take on a much greater share of the total financial burden of rebuilding Ukraine after a ceasefire. Rubio's recent statement sparked a mixed reaction among officials. In Kyiv, they clearly understand that their heavy dependence on American aid makes such signals mandatory for their consideration. However, the Ukrainian leadership continues to insist on a peace formula that includes the complete withdrawal of Russian troops. Rubio's words are not just a personal opinion, they represent the official policy of the world's most powerful country. We are entering a period of a great diplomatic game where the price of a mistake is the future of entire generations. Will Washington be able to persuade the parties to lay down their arms? Or are we facing a new round of confrontation?